Hello my scholars, welcome to my school channel. My name is Alexandra, and in today's video we're going to be talking about intonation. So the aim is to help you to better understand the topic intonation. We'll explore the meaning, we'll look at the functions, and then we'll talk about the types or patterns of intonation that we have in English language. So please stay with us, don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to my school channel. So do not forget that today's topic is intonation. Okay, so the lesson objective for today's lesson is as follows. First, we'll look at the concept of intonation, where we explore the meaning and the foundation of it. And next, we'll look at the functions of intonation. And lastly, we'll look at the types of what is popularly referred to as the pattern of intonation. So let's begin with the first objective, which is the concept of the meaning of intonation itself. Okay, so before I talk about the meaning of intonation, first let's talk about stress. Stress and intonation are very, very important in English language or in spoken English, and they are so related. Okay, so I prepared a video on stress, so I would advise you find that video and watch so that you can learn and better understand the connection it has with intonation. Okay, so in our discussion on stress, we learned that stress can affect the meaning of a word. For example, import and import. So we are able to distinguish between the meaning of the word import from import. Okay, we're able to distinguish between the grammatical class. One is a noun and one is the verb. So the first one, import, is a noun, and the second one, import, is a verb. So we know how stress functions. We know that it functions at the word level, that is taking a look at what particular syllable in that word or within that word is stressed, and then we look at it at a sentence level and we restricted it to the words that are stressed within a sentence, right? But then when we look at intonation, we are looking at connected speech. Okay, we're looking at a sentence, the whole sentence. Okay, so now the meaning of a sentence or the meaning of an utterance can be affected by stress itself, by taking a look at the word that is stressed in that sentence. But not only stress, it is also affected by the difference in the pitch of your voice. So this leads us to ask the question, what are the difference in the pitch of your voice that we can possibly find? So when you speak, the pitch changes. It goes high and then it comes down. It goes high and it goes low. Okay, so the meaning it generates can differ depending on what the speaker intends. Okay, for example, imagine you're going to a lounge and you've spotted someone going to a table for two. Okay, it's a table for two, and the person has taken a seat and he or she is arranging his or her property on the table, right? But then you approach the person and say, do you want to take this table? Okay, and the person says, yes. That's an affirmation, right? That's an affirmation that, okay, this table belongs to me. Even though it's a table for two, my stuffs are scattered over at the table, so there's no space for you. So there's no doubt in the speaker's mind that, yes, there's no space for you. And then you can walk away. But imagine the person saying, yes. Okay, so there is a reservation in the speaker's mind, okay, and the person is uncertain whether to create space for you with the tone yes, okay, and it is quite different from yes. Yes is an affirmation saying, oh, there's no space for you, I want to have this table for myself or by myself. But then yes would mean you can give me a reason why you want this table and I'll create space for you. Or is there a problem? It's just uncertainty. And that is what intonation can do in connected speech, in a conversation, in a sentence. Okay, so this is simply intonation showing you the attitude of the speaker, which could be unbelief, which could be uncertainty, which could be as excitement, it could be just anything that shows the emotion or the attitude of a listener. Okay, so that is intonation, and that is what we'll be looking at today. Now, what is intonation? Intonation is simply the rise and fall of the voice in speaking. Intonation is the rise and fall of the voice in speaking. So when I say yes and say yes, Okay, so that is low, a fall first, and a rise in the tone, right? So that is basically what intonation is. Intonation is the rise and fall of the voice in speaking. Now next we look at the function of intonation. What function does it perform? Now intonation performs two functions. One is grammatical function and one is attitudinal function. But first let's start with the grammatical function. So for grammatical function, certain intonation pattern is associated with certain sentence types. What are the sentence types? We have the interrogative sentence, which are questions, right? We have the declarative sentence, which are statements. We have the exclamatory sentence, which are exclamations, right? And then lastly, we have the imperative sentence, which are commands, right? So those are the four sentence type. Now, certain intonation will help us indicate if this utterance you've just made is a command, if it's a statement, if it's a question. So one function that intonation performs is that it helps us indicate what sentence type you've used in your construction or your utterance, okay? So it indicates whether a sentence is a statement, a request, a command, question, or an exclamation. And like I said, certain patterns are associated with certain sentence type. For example, the imperative sentence, which is command, we use the falling tone. It is associated with the falling tone. For request, it is the rising tone. The rising tone pattern is associated with the request. For statement, it is definitely the falling tone. For question, it depends on the type of question. We have question tag, we have polar questions, and so on. All of these questions type would explore before the end of today's video. So stay with me. For exclamation, it is also the falling tone. So certain pattern is associated with certain sentence type. Okay, so let's take a look at the second function that intonation performs, which is the attitudinal function. But before we do that, let's take a look at examples. So some examples are, could you pass on the food please? So this is a request and you can see it going up. Could you pass on the food please? Okay, what time does it start? What time does it start? So this is going down, this is falling, and this is rising. So you can see example. We'll explore more examples before the end of today's video. So let's look at the next function, which is the attitudinal function. For attitudinal function, what does this mean? It means that intonation can help convey the attitude of a speaker. You can know his emotions, you can know his feeling, you can know what's going through his mind. So intonation can help us reveal the intention of the speaker. You know, these days we get a lot of, oh, you're misinterpreting me. This is what I said, but this is what I mean. I said, no, you said this, you must mean this. Okay, so intonation can help you a long way to differentiate between what you've said and what you meant by what you said. Okay, so you can say something and it can mean several things. And how do you help your listener to understand what you're saying? Is by using the right intonation. So intonation can help convey the attitude of a speaker. It can show if you are angry. It can show if you are surprised. It can show if you are being sarcastic, if you have interest, if you feel indifferent about the subject matter. Okay, so you can reveal your emotions, your feelings, your attitudes to an issue being discussed. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. Okay, so she married the man. This is a question, and so you use a rising tone. She married the man. Now this is a question, but what type of question? This is a question with a declarative sentence, and it is popularly referred to as rhetorical question. She married the man. Okay, so when someone says she married the man, you're having a conversation and someone tells you that, oh, someone has just got married to a man. And maybe you feel like, oh, this person has said she wouldn't marry the man because he maltreated her. And you're like, she married the man? You're surprised. You find it hard to believe, you doubt. So it's showing your attitude, it's showing what's going on in your mind, your feelings, your emotion about the issue being discussed. But if I say she married the man, I'm just saying a statement. I'm just passing an information to you. Okay, I'm just being informative. That is the attitude that I'm conveying. That is, I'm just being informative. But she married the man, it could be contempt. It could be, oh, disdain. You feel the man is worthless. And she married the man. Okay, you have your reservations. You know that this man is not a good person, but she still went ahead to marry the man. So these are different attitudes by using the same expression but conveying the different attitude just by switching intonation, just by using the falling and the rising tone, okay? Intonation is very important. It can perform grammatical function and also can perform attitudinal function. Now, next is the type of intonation. What are the types of intonation, or what are the patterns of intonation? So, before we go into that, I would like to remind you that I have prepared a longer video that will cover this objective. All you need to do is to click on the link in the description below. It takes you to my school website. There you have to subscribe for the lesson. Please go ahead and subscribe so you can enjoy the rest of today's lesson. Thank you for staying with us. Do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos.